Thomas Brush, the creator of Pinstripe and Neversong? Write your game design document, and you will be free of this creature. But remember, never lose focus. It can crawl back in at any time. I don't need to write some yuck-ass document, do I? I already have a strong sense of vision, and went through great pains to limit my scope, didn't I? So, I took some time to write out a game design document, and wow, did it put things into perspective. I don't want it to be too long, so I think 6 to 8 hours for a turn-based Japanese-style RPG ain't too bad. I didn't realize how big my game really was until I wrote this. 3 castles, 7 towns, 9 dungeons, 20 songs, at least, unique NPC dialogue, 50 enemies, but it really put things into perspective and gave me focus. I think it's time. Also, story update. I'm a quarter of the way through revision. My current concern is that the main character is at times sympathetic, but she's not likable. I don't believe that protagonists ought to be likable, but it's a hard sell. But stories are my bread and butter, so I think I can handle it. Okay, resume. To move the defensive minigame into RPG Maker's battle scene proper. To do that, I need to prepare RPG Maker for it, because as it is, it ain't ready. First, get those default windows out of my way. Haha, be gone! Next, these event logs ain't cutting it. They gotta go. Thank you, Victor Sant, for the plugin. Look how fast battles are now. Next is the turn order. Remember, I want enemies to attack in sequence. That means that the player characters make the first move, then the enemies. Simple, right? All I do is paralyze the enemies for 1 turn, then the players for 1 turn, and then keep alternating. It ain't working out. Back to the drawing board. I'll keep track of how many times the player party acts, and once both members have acted, then the player will... Nope. What am I doing wrong? Alright, fixed. Now, I have to make the enemy fill up the attack queue. What I'm going to do is create a skill list that are just numbers, and then another set of skills that correspond to those numbers. You following me still? Because if you are, I'm calling the cops. I feel threatened by your presence. The first set of skills will simply fill the queue, and then the second will be actual attacks with all their effects and damage. So, if the player fails to dodge or block the enemy attack, then the latter set will be performed based on the numbers in a queue. Let me demonstrate. An enemy fills the queue with attacks 1, 3, and then 1. Different sliders with different properties will spawn based on those numbers. You can think of them as being tagged with those numbers in a way. If the first slider isn't blocked or dodged, then the enemy will get a successful attack on the player. If the second slider, which is marked 3, ends up getting through the player's defenses, then the enemy will get a successful other attack, so on and so forth. So, you might be wondering, why not just write a loop and a randomizer based on which enemies are in the enemy party? Because RPG Maker already kind of has that built in with the attack percent trait and the enemy behavior panel. Not only that, but the enemy behavior panel allows me to create more dynamic challenges than just running through loops. What's neat is that developers can use code in the damage formula. A lot more experienced devs warn against this. So why can I do it? Anyway, I'm going to put code in here to add to the attack queue. There's a quirk where the last expression in the damage formula is the amount of damage that the player will take. If I try to set the latest item in the queue to 1, I'm going to end up taking 1 damage. But I don't want that. I'm just filling a queue. So I'm going to add a cheeky semicolon here and trick it into thinking that I want the player to take 0 damage. Haha! True deception! Let's see if it fills. Perfect. Only 2 things. 1, I'll have to remove the first index, that being 0. And 2, I'll have to reset the queue once it's been filled so enemies don't keep adding to the length of the queue. See? Simple. Almost too simple. I feel like something should have gone wrong by now. Everything up to now has been fun and games. The lube to the main dicking, if you will. But now it's time for the hard part, which is getting more visibility on YouTube, am I right? But it's been made easy for you. If you want, you don't have to. But if you want to, click like, leave a comment, any comment. You can say whatever you like, as long as it's within YouTube's terms of service. And then knock on the subscribe button's door. Say that you just want to talk. And pump your shotgun to let it know that you actually have other intentions. Revealing that when you said you just wanted to talk, you were luring them under false pretenses. Ha! Pranked. moving the minigame into the battle scene. I used a lot of stand-ins for actual values. Slider speed was dictated by this value, which I randomized. Now, I actually want to base it off of the mean speed of the rest of the enemy troops. These 3 enemies only have 1 as their speed stat, so that means the output should be 30. Because 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 3, there's 3 of them, so divide it by 3, that equals 1. But why does it equal 30? Because remember, I'm starting at 29 and then adding the mean of enemy speed. If you don't want to do the math, don't worry. I just told you, like 5 seconds ago. I already did it. Just change the answer a little so the teacher don't think we're cheating. Looks good so far. But what if I change their speed to 3? It should equal 32. Hot tamale! Now for that frequency stat. There's a stat in RPG Maker that's basically junk for my game, TCR. It basically stands for TP charge rate. TP stands for tech points, and it lets you use certain attacks if you have enough. I have no attacks that use it. Heyo! And now finally, it's time to take a nap. Okay, now what? Why isn't the programming done? So basically, I have to go through the growing pains of taking out all the temporary code and fitting in the more permanent code. Taking out all the stuff that was meant to stand in for other things and putting in those actual things. For example, the sliders are just defaults. I need to make it so that they change depending on the attack. Holy shit, it actually works. And look, even the different sliders works. I feel like something should be going wrong. Are the dominoes falling right before me? And I'm just not seeing it? Am I being looped before life eventually No. Look here, I need to make sure that the attacks hit. See how the screen is shaking? That's how I know that an enemy attack hit. That took me like an hour to get working. That was a bit of a pet peeve, right? That was, a bit of something going wrong, right? Not only that, but you may have noticed that enemies flash white whenever they're loading up their attacks. That takes way too long. I need to cut that down too. What's that going to take? 10 million years of confusion and smashing my keyboard? I cut it down. What? There's my issue. Haha! The other shoe has dropped! I can relax! My life is a tragedy! Thank God! Man, I was getting paranoid. After the last devlog trying to get things to work and they didn't, I just didn't trust that. Oh. Okay, I see. So what happened was I left out this middle section, which tells the game which enemy is attacking. The game didn't know who it was supposed to attack, so it just crashed. But then I fixed it. Well, that's the devlog. Everything's going well so far. You know what? I think I understand what's happening. I'm either having a string of good luck, or all the frustrations from last episode was actually me laying down the foundations for success. I need to ride this shit before it runs out. I'm going to tackle this as fast as possible. First, the wait time for building the queue. It's still too long. I'm going to have the initialization event run while the enemies are still filling the queue. I'll give the enemies a half-second head start and hope that the enemies can fill the queue faster than the sliders can spawn. Fuck yeah, dude. Now, it's time to create some variation among slider types. What's that, you may ask? Well, just imagine that some sliders move different from others. What the hell does that mean, you may ask? Can you elaborate, you may ask? Can I please go home and see my wife and kid? Okay, so, what if some sliders slide down while gaining momentum? What if some started on one side of the screen and then slid gradually to the other? What if others faked you out and switched sides?
Cascading of mounting dreams, games or studios, if that's still the studio name. What about keeping feature creep at bay? What about Thomas Brush?
I'm keeping that in mind. Don't you worry, you stud you. This level of variance, I believe, is necessary to keep battles feeling fresh and to test your ability to read the sliders differently. This is why I've held off on importing the other slider spawning entities. I want to make sure that this stuff works on the first one before I move on to the next one. You guys ready? Because whether or not my luck's run out, it's getting done. Game plan. I'm going to have a third array that will dictate how each attack will fall. The slider type, if you will. How will I fill this array? Simple. Notes. What I can do is define if this skill is meant to fall with linear speed, momentum, will cross, will switch midway, or will cross with momentum. Once I figure out momentum, the rest will be easy. I can use this script call to get information on what is in the notes of a skill. If the skill has one of these 5 strings, or let's call them descriptions for my non-programming homies, then that will be loaded into this third array and define how these bad lad sliders will fall. Let's go. Actually, wait, no I don't. I can just go into the damage formula again. Now let's see if that array is working. Aw shit, baby. Now I have to implement the traits. The first one I'm going to tackle is momentum, because that's going to be the hardest one for me. I don't think I retained much from high school physics. So here I go.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
You have no idea how much that took out of me. Oh my god. I'm gonna lie down. Hello y'all, it's me again.
Oh my god.
Just a quick couple shoutouts, okay? First one, Mindful Bees over on Twitch.
What the heck-a-roni? Look at him. Even the facial hair is pretty much on.
I resent that.
She shouted out the first devlog and is one of Caden's best friends IRL.
Also, shoutouts to Caius Nelson, creator of Circle of Orion. If you want more JRPG devlogs, give them a look. Oh my god. Oh